Hello and welcome to another episode of Talking Rangers. Today is Monday, March 17th. This is episode 61 of the Talking Rangers podcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Make sure to please like and subscribe. Another week down for the New York Rangers. An interesting week. It's kind of been a lot has happened since the last time we spoke. I think, what was it? But we spoke right before the Capitals game, I think was the last episode. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
They lose
A
that
lot has
Capitals
happened.
game and then go on to lose 3 in a row, have the terrible blown lead against Ottawa where they lose in overtime. Then they get smoked by Columbus the next night at the Garden, and then lose a tough one to Winnipeg, questionable calls, but then bounce back, beat Minnesota. Really nice victory, shutout against Columbus. Total opposite of allowing 7 goals a week earlier. And then last night, another opportunity to win 3 in a row. They've had a lot of these chances recently, and they couldn't do it. So the streak rolls on. Rangers still have not won 3 games in a row since November 19th when they defeated, I believe it was Vancouver, and that was kind of the start of the downfall in a way because they were 12-4-1 at that point, playing good hockey.
Wait. Listen to this, though. Their next chance to win 3 in a row will be against Vancouver. That would be funny,
Yeah,
right? If they beat the Flames tomorrow,
Toronto.
and then they beat Toronto on, I think, Thursday or Friday? And then
Thursday.
Dude, that's going to happen. They're going to win tomorrow. They're going to
And
win.
that's
what I was about to get to. They're going to win the 2 games, right? It's going to be Sam Rosen.
Rosen. I was just about to say
Sam
that.
Rosen night for the everything kind of aligning, and then they're going to lose.
The least they could do is win for Sam Rosen.
Yeah,
they might not make the playoffs. At least you could win it on his, because they didn't win when Lundqvist was
put
up in the
Raptors.
Wild,
and
they lost.
And Zuccarello scored when Lundqvist is was on the call or whatever, and they I'm pretty sure he was talking with Rosen and Micheletti, and then he's like, "Oh, this guy's not that good. You don't have to watch out for him." And then Zuccarello scores.
Yeah.
But speaking of Vancouver, though, you see that Hedl got another concussion.
Yeah.
So that would have been nice to see him. He probably would have got a standing ovation, the video package. I guess that will wait, or do you think because he didn't make the road trip, so they're not going to do anything for him? But
yeah, it'll wait probably until next year or
sucks,
Stanley Cup.
I mean, is it getting to a point where he is going to retire, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean it's bad. I mean, we talked about this when the trade happened that it might be career ending, the next concussion, definitely depending on the severity of it.
I saw the clip of it, and he looked pretty it wasn't a huge hit, but then it took him a little to get up, and it looked maybe a little dazed.
Yeah.
So it sucks.
I don't know. I mean, what is that for?
I think it's 4 or 5. I don't know.
Because he had the one last year, this year, this one.
No, he had 2 last year. Remember?
One early and then one late, right? Yeah, because didn't he have the one at practice?
Was that I think it probably was a concussion, right? He came back finally, and he's done for the season. They announced he's not coming back. So I think that might have been another concussion. And then I assume he probably had 1 or 2 before that. I know for a fact he had 1.
Yeah.
So it could be 4 or 5.
Yeah, it's a shame because he's so talented, and he's obviously was when he was healthy. The whole kid line, that was great. But yeah, I mean the last 2 years, 2023, 2024 played 10 games, and then this year he's played 46 games, I think it was, mostly healthy, and then now another concussion.
He missed a couple games with the Rangers. I don't know if it was concussion related, but remember that? It was kind of weird where he was skating with the team on the road trip, but he just didn't play.
Yeah, it's a shame. I don't know. It feels like it's always with Hedl. There's never really those timetables either. With him where you kind of
it's hard with the concussion.
Yeah.
It's not as black and white as a broken hand where you kind of have for the most part, a good understanding of how long this is going to take to heal. Or
Yeah.
concussion, it's like you don't really know.
Yeah. I guess only time will tell. But obviously won't be at the Garden on Saturday. Saturday. Day game, 1:00 game there. So, yeah, 3 straight maybe Saturday. If not, I mean, they've got to beat Anaheim and in San Jose. I don't know if they'll beat the Kings, but they'll definitely probably beat Anaheim and San Jose out west. So
we got the 4 Canadian teams in a row at the Garden, and then we're going out for a freaking
West Coast games. I
hate
West
Coast games are brutal, man. Jeez.
All at 10:00. Actually, Kings in San Jose 10:30, Anaheim 10:00. It's like a Friday night.
It's just 3 out there, right?
Yeah, it's just 3, and then they come back from Minnesota. But you know what I never understood with the TV stuff? Like I get it's out there 3 hours behind, but it's a Friday night. People are off of work. People like you could probably bump that game to maybe 9:00. It doesn't have to be at 10:30. It's a Friday night. I mean,
do you think they would get people to come at 4 Pacific, or you think it would
no, 7:00 here wouldn't work, but 6:00 there is. I don't think that's.
No, I'm saying, but like 4:00 Pacific, you think would work? Or do you think that's too early for them? You think
too early for them? But 9:00 I think is fine.
6,
here.
Yeah, I think
6 there is fine.
6 Pacific, I think you get enough people to go to the game.
And let's be honest.
Like you're saying, Friday people take off early.
Yeah, and Saturday, back to back, Friday, Saturday. How many people are going to Anaheim and San Jose games?
Saturday games should never be that late.
No, it shouldn't be
ever.
Shouldn't be. Even a lot of times you see even baseball when I just know when the Yankees were out west. I think last year against San Fran, I remember early in the season they played. I think Friday was a late game, but then Saturday was at 4:00, and I think Sunday was at 4:00. Like you can play. It's a weekend. You can play a 4:00 game here to have a 1:00 start out there. It's ridiculous to play a 10:30. It's ridiculous, and also nobody's going to Ducks or Sharks games. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
not to be anybody.
Not only they're bad, let's be honest. How many hockey fans?
Yeah, you could put the game at 1:00. You could put the game on 10 a.m. there. And you'll get probably the same amount of people as you're going to get if you put it on 7:30 there.
There'd probably still be more Rangers fans.
Probably, yeah. Because there's probably it might be Rangers
are
fans.
2 locations where like it's a nice place to go for vacation.
Yeah,
and you're going to get a crap ton of Rangers fans.
Yeah,
I remember last year we played in Anaheim, and there was a ton of Rangers fans there. So,
yeah, I hate the West Coast trips. You get some of those Canada trips too, where they'll go to like Edmonton, like Vancouver. Those will be late games as well. Out west Canada and Seattle. They usually start with like the Seattle Kraken, and then they'll move up that way. Those are annoying, but
Flames, Oilers, Canucks.
Yep. So, yeah, so they got that coming up. They are in the middle of a 4-game homestand though, and kind of the same story with this team. Since the last time we spoke, they are just treading water. I mean, you lose the 4 in a row, 2 terrible losses. Ottawa and Columbus. You're up 3-1 on Ottawa.
They blew the lead against the Capitals too.
Capitals as well, yeah.
Blew that game. They're up 3-1 against
3-1 against Ottawa. You're up 2-1 against the Capitals. You blow both those games.
Yeah. And listen, even against the Blue Jackets, they were down 2-0. Do you get 2 shorthanded goals on the same penalty?
On the same
all the momentum on your side, and you lose.
Yeah, it was terrible. They kind of just gave up in that Columbus game. Yeah. They quit. They had the 2 shorthanded goals, and then Columbus had 2 goals in a minute and a half to end the second period, and then they came into the third and it was awful. And they
I don't think they have a multi-goal comeback this year. So much for no quit New York.
Yeah, they had the 2 comebacks against Vegas and Boston, but those were both
1 goal.
It was 2-1 both games. They scored 3 unanswered against Vegas, and then they scored 2 unanswered against Boston. They don't have many. No, they don't. You go through most of these overtime games. A lot of them they blow leads.
Yeah, I don't think there's any game.
It's not like they're fighting
game this year where I think besides the Utah game, the second game of the season, where they didn't have to they didn't come back and force overtime.
Yeah,
the Blue Jackets game was 0-0. That went to overtime. The Devils game, they came back in.
Yeah, down
Or no,
2-1.
no. Where were they up? So maybe okay. So the
The
Devils game.
Devils, they were down 2-1. I think Panarin had that late goal, and then Carrick had the winner, obviously.
All right, so the two of the overtime
But
games.
even though it's 2-1, they haven't had like a 3-1 comeback, which we saw
It would
like
have
a
been like
2-goal
the
comeback.
Avalanche game would have been something like that if they
Yeah.
didn't blow that game. Oh, and
Yeah.
that's another. And the game before that one, that's another one that they blew the game to lose in overtime. The first time they played the Avalanche, or was it the second time? I think it was the first time, right?
Yeah.
Because then they played later at home at the Garden and let McCarr out of the. I mean, that's crazy, bro. If you told me you get a power play with like 2:20 left in the game, tied, I'm like, all right, at least we got a point.
Yeah.
And they
And
did.
And even that what was it, the Stars game, they were up 3-0, blow that one.
Yeah. Lose in overtime, take a penalty in overtime and lose.
Yeah. They've had a lot of bad overtime losses. They've had a lot of bad games going overtime. There have been many of these games where you don't come away feeling good about the point. You come away feeling pretty horrible. Ottawa in general, even if they won that game, letting Ottawa get the point was pathetic.
Yeah.
And even more pathetic was letting them go out and win. What was that?
What about Keandre Miller's pass?
Oh, that was terrific. He wasn't playing that bad either.
I thought he was playing a great game.
And then terrible pass to JT Miller and
ruins everything.
Ottawa scores.
Jeez.
So, Brady Tkachuk, what do you know? I mean,
future Ranger.
Yeah, future. Yeah, he might be. Hopefully, but trading Norris certainly didn't help his case staying there. But either way, it's that weekend was tough. You got to win those 2 games. It was nice to beat Columbus. Nice to shut them out, pick up a win there. Look at the standings right now. They've got Columbus, Montreal, both teams that are behind them. Detroit as well.
I think that's it. I don't see Detroit. They're too hot and cold.
Yeah, and Columbus is kind of cold now too.
They're 2 games behind the Rangers technically because the Rangers have the tiebreaker in all these teams. I don't think any of them are going to catch them in the regulation win column. So the Red Wings, I think, have a game in hand, or 2 points behind. But like I said, they got to get 3 more points than the Rangers. So I just don't see them beating out the Rangers for the spot. I think it's just going to come down to the Rangers, the Blue Jackets, and the Canadiens. And even so, I think it's going to come down to the Rangers and the Blue Jackets. But right now, to be fair to the Canadiens, they're in the best spot to pass them because I think they have 2 games in hand, and I believe they have 71 points, where the Rangers have 72. So
with 68 games,
So
Columbus, Montreal both have 2 games in hand.
We got to root for the Devils tonight against Columbus.
Yeah, we do have to root for the Devils.
Go Devils.
Devils, Columbus. So go Devils. That's a rarity.
They'll probably lose too, and then just to piss off the Rangers.
They probably will. I still think they'll make the playoffs. I know you put out a poll earlier today.
50 last I checked.
Yeah, actual 50-50. I just checked.
It's still 50-50?
Right before we did the pod. Yeah, right before we did it, unless if it changed 13 minutes in here, but I checked before we started, and it was still 50-50, which is...
I haven't voted on my actual account. I'll say no. That just
I voted yes.
That just changed it from 50-50 to 50.6, 49.4. There's 178 votes, so that's crazy. That's completely even.
I actually kind of could see that because I think like this Ranger team, they're hard to grasp. I think that's kind of where the fan base is at. I think most people probably lean no, but I still feel like my gut still tells me that they'll find a way to get in. Especially when you look at all like the percentages and stuff. I know this isn't the end all be all, but just looking at Money Puck.
What is Money Puck now?
53.6 to make the playoffs, which is higher than Columbus and Montreal by a wide margin. Montreal's at 21.8. Columbus is at 10.1.
What are the Senators like? At like 80?
Senators are 97.1.
Oh wow, I was way off on that.
Yeah, which is, I mean, there's 77 points. Plus, they've got 2 games in hand on the Rangers.
They have better odds than the Devils.
They do. Yes. It's funny. It's like a drop off. It's 90s and 80s and then 50.
I wonder what our odds would have been if we won yesterday. Probably would have been in the 70s.
Probably. Yeah, because you'd be up 4. You'd only be 4 back of the Devils.
The Rangers have a 0.2% chance according to Money Puck. Oh no, 4.1% chance according to Money Puck.
Yeah, they do of winning the cup.
I was looking at Minnesota.
You know what's funny? Yeah, like that's what's funny. They have a higher chance of winning the cup than Ottawa, but Ottawa has a better chance of making the playoffs.
They have a higher chance than Toronto, than Edmonton, than Ottawa. Wait, then you see that Edmonton?
Devils too. They have a better chance than Devils.
Isn't that crazy? Look at that. You see that 2.1% chance with Edmonton to win the cup, and the Rangers have a 4.1.
Yeah.
Is that maybe just because the Metro sucks? So like, if they can get into the playoffs, it's not going to be that difficult for them to get to the conference final.
It's possible. I mean, you'd probably start, of course, with the Capitals. I don't know. I think this is more off of their track record, I guess, of the deep runs that they've had.
I'm on Money Puck right now, and I'm on like the one where it's like the chart, not like the circle. So the Rangers have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10th best odds to win the cup, according to this. And like if you look at the left column, which says make the playoffs, it's all like 99, 99, 90, 90, 90,
and then 53
just in the middle of all the 90s.
Yeah. And even behind them, it's 97, 98, 99,
yeah,
94.
Like they're just in the middle of a bunch of 90s.
Yeah, that's what's weird. I think it's a lot of the fact that they've been right in the conversation too the last 3 years. I mean, you look at, and I guess Edmonton, you can make the case. I mean, they were in the cup last year, but Ottawa's been out of it for a while. Toronto doesn't get past the first round. The Devils, outside of the 1 year with the Rangers, they missed the playoffs last year. I mean, even a team like Columbus, they've been out of it. Montreal's been out of it, other than the weird COVID year where they made a run. But I think it's more off of like their resume in past years that they've shown that they can make a deep run. So, but the math isn't mathing.
Could also be just they're banking on Igor.
Yeah.
You can kind of steal games for
that he has the advantage over the teams behind him. That makes sense.
Let's say we would play, if we make the playoffs in the spot that we're in right now. I mean, season end today, we play the Capitals.
Yep.
He's better than Thompson and Lindgren. You got an advantage there. You got the advantage against Markstrom. You got the advantage against Anderson. I think you have the advantage against Vasilevsky right now. I would say that they probably have the advantage over Bobrovsky and definitely have the advantage over, like, I don't know, whoever the Maple Leafs throw out there, either Stolars or Wall.
Yeah.
But I guess the only two goalies that I can consider kind of like neck and neck is the two Russians, like Bobrovsky and Vasilevsky. But other than that, especially in the Metro, I mean, I know Markstrom's been solid for.
If Markstrom gets hot, he would push him.
And like,
but
like Markstrom and Thompson have had good moments of the season, but they're still not Igor Shesterkin. So
no, their overall body of work isn't Igor. And Markstrom had a terrible game against the Penguins too.
Yeah, he's not playing tonight, thankfully.
Yeah, Jake Allen legacy game. Yeah, I mean, Igor, we know what he's capable of doing in the playoffs. I think that's certainly part of it. They're projected to finish with 89.5, 89.5 points.
That'd be crazy if they make the playoffs under 90 points. I don't know who the last team to do that is, or if a team's ever done this point system with the 82 game season.
Yeah. Which is very low. I mean, it's funny. You look at the teams that are in the 80s and their cup odds. St. Louis, 1.1%. Vancouver, 0.3. Utah, 1.3. Flames, 0.2. Canadians, 0.2. Islanders, 0.3. Columbus, they give them a 0% chance to win the cup. So, and then the Rangers are there at 4.1. It's crazy that their odds to win the cup and then yet finish with 89 points is funny.
The Rangers have the first and third best save percentage in the playoffs, like career-wise.
Yeah, that adds up.
So Sturkin, active goalies, has a 2.8 or a 9.28, which is the highest of active goalies, and then number 3 is Quick. He's got a 2 or a 9.21. You'll never guess who number 2 is. I'll give you a hint. You've said his name pretty recently.
For goalie.
So you said his name. Like, we said his name pretty recently, and you would never expect this guy to be that.
In the playoffs?
They're number 2 with save percentage among active goalies.
Is it Markstrom?
No.
So did we mention him this podcast?
Markstrom is 11.
Ooh. Is he? We mentioned him like this episode.
Yeah, like we just mentioned him.
And number 2, is it surprise?
Yeah, some guy that you would not expect.
So it's not Vasilevsky because
Vasilevsky's 4. He's got a 9-1.
Yeah, it wouldn't be him because he's
or a 9-2. He's got a 9-2-0.
Not Bobrovsky.
Bobrovsky's not high at all. Bobrovsky's at 18. He's got a 905.
Not either Toronto. Not Freddie Anderson.
No, Freddie Anderson's at 914. He's number 9. Think of some goalies that you were just talking about.
Sorokin.
Come on, you mentioned this guy.
I did?
Yeah. Like more than the other goalies that you've mentioned. Like it was more like you had more context when you're talking about this guy. There's more energy. There's more energy.
Lindgren?
No, like there was more energy when we were talking about this guy.
Not Markstrom.
I mean, if I give you a hint, you'll probably get it, but Markstrom's close. It's not Markstrom, though.
Is it? Wait, hold on. Somebody in the East? Are they in the East or the West?
Yes, they're in the Metro, this goalie.
Metro.
He's not a starting goalie, I'll give you that. He's a backup.
Right now.
He's a backup goalie on a Metropolitan team that's currently in the playoffs.
It's currently in the playoffs. This isn't quick.
No. Quick
it's starting.
This guy's in front of Quick. He's a backup goalie.
Jake Allen.
Yeah, Jake Allen. That's the second best active. He's got a 9.23 or 9.24.
Wow.
Sorry. Jake Allen.
Yeah, that was a swing and a miss. Dude, I thought it was. I was thinking starters.
I didn't realize that the Devils might have themselves a playoff goaltender.
Akira Schmid 2.0.
He's the second best save percentage among active playoff goalies.
That doesn't make sense.
He must have played like one series, and it must have been either for it must have been for the Blues, or maybe he's played like one game in the playoffs and had like a 9.24 save percentage.
Yeah,
because I don't think he made the playoffs.
Did he play at all that year the Canadians made it?
He maybe played one game, but I mean, for the most part,
no, he didn't.
Price. It must have been, like I said, it must have been like 1 or 2 games for like the Blues.
Yeah, that one cup, that one run. Maybe they won that one cup run where they beat Boston.
But even so, I mean, they had Binghamton, so maybe I think it was a couple of years ago where they were playing the Avs, and Binghamton either got hurt or something, and he played. Like I said, he must have played like one game.
It was 2020, 2020, or 2019, 2020, the year of the bubble.
He played in that? Okay.
He played in that. Let's see the numbers. 935 save percentage in that. So, and then he probably dropped off. Then it looks like here he played during the cup run in 2018, 2019. He came in the blowout in game 3. Allowed
for like mop-up duties.
Yeah, 750 save percentage. So it's probably that 935 he had in the bubble minus that 750 gets him to what's set 924.
Hey, listen, Devils fans again, like, hey, number 2 active playoff save percentage. So
hey, he's got 4 shutouts this year, which is tied for 3rd in the NHL.
Maybe 5 after tonight. Help the Rangers.
I'd take a shutout tonight for Montreal or over Columbus.
Need it.
I witnessed a Jake Allen masterclass live when I went to the Flyers Devils game like 2 months ago, and that was 5-0 Jake Allen shutout. You know, witnessing greatness when you watch him.
Listen, like he's one of the elite playoff goalies in the league, like, and his numbers back it up. So, but besides that, like Igor, you know, he's the only one that Igor, I guess, has to really worry about.
Yeah.
When we play the Devils in the second round.
Well, if you had to make the prediction or the percentage, what should the Rangers cup odds be?
Like 4.
4?
Isn't that what it is?
4.1. Yeah. So like you think it's around that?
5%, like 5%.
What about their playoff odds?
I think it would go up if they make the playoffs, obviously. So, like, do you want me to say right now or like
right now
if they're in the playoffs?
right now, coming off of last night's loss, just how
I'd
you
say
feel about
4.
this team.
I'd say 4% chance to win the win the cup. If they're like in the playoffs clinched, I give them I'd say like 20%. That's pretty high, but I mean, just because if you get in with Igor, you never know. Do I think they're gonna win? No. Do I think they're gonna win a series? Probably not. But I guess
Yeah, I don't know.
Once you get in, it's a 1 out of what 16th chance.
Yep.
So
I mean, they played. I mean, they can beat the Capitals. They should have beat them last week.
yeah, maybe 20 is pretty high. Maybe like 10% when they make it. But right now, like I think money puck's around like 4 or 5%. That's pretty right.
They got to make the playoffs. Like, there's nothing better than like the warm weather playoff game. Like, that's peak sporting time.
Like we're watching the games. Like it's like midway through the game. It's still light outside.
Yeah, it's still light out. It's like exactly. It's like 8:00. It's second period, halfway through the second, it's still light out. That's like peak. The start of like summer and like peak sport peak fandom.
Yeah,
I want that, and I want it for 2 rounds because April's still kind of early. Play into May.
They could put, like I think they. I'm gonna look stupid saying this, but I don't think
they can win the cup.
I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs, but like I think if they make the playoffs, they might get back to the conference final because like, listen, they can beat Washington, right? And then the Devils and Hurricanes don't scare you.
No,
you continuously beat the Hurricanes, who got worse from last year, and the Devils are all injured up.
Yep.
They have so many injuries.
There's a chance the Devils don't even win that, get out of the first round.
There's probably like an outside chance the Rangers can slip into that third spot.
Yeah,
I mean, what do we have?
they've had a couple chances. I don't want to say get in the striking distance because they'd still be 4 points behind.
I don't think they will though, but because we only have like 14 games.
Yeah.
What do you think we need to get to win, like to make up, like out of those 14 games? If you just take, I guess, overtime losses out of the equation, just wins. Like, how many wins do you think we need? Like 8, 9
to get
to the
third of the Metro?
No, to get to the playoffs. Because
I don't playoffs.
I said maybe they could, but obviously when they win tonight, the Devils, it's going to be they're big, widening their gap. I also would rather play the Capitals in the first round. No shade to the Capitals, but I'd rather play them than the Hurricanes.
Yeah,
but like, just like the overall picture, like 14 games left, right? They played 68 games, the Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
What's the number of wins you think we need?
10?
10 out of 14, you think?
Yeah, what does that get you? 92? Plus any overtime losses?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 92 safe, maybe 11. 94 because
11 and 14, dude. You think this team has won 3 games in a row, though? That's my only concern.
Maybe 9. I mean, you need 90.
Wait. So what's 66% of 14? That's like 9 wins almost. Like 9 wins.
64% is 9. Yeah.
It's 66%. Like it's like 9 wins, right?
Yeah, it's 9.
So if we win 2 out of 3, and what's that? That's 90 points.
Yeah,
because we have so
you're gonna need 90. They're gonna need at least 9. 10, I think, is safe. 11's really safe.
So by Rangers math, they should probably get in then because if you win 2 out of 3 plus overtime losses, right? You just
they'll have at least one more blown lead in them.
So 2 out of 3, that gives you 90 points, and then say 2 overtime losses, that's 92 points, right?
Yeah,
because that's 18 plus the 72 we have now. Like I said, round 2, this team should finish at 92. And do you think 92 gets in?
I think 92 gets in.
All right, so by the Rangers math, we should be in the playoffs.
Should we go through the schedule?
Why not? I mean, not only we have to go through the schedule, I guess for entertainment value, it gives us like more things to watch. But like, I also don't like having to watch other teams rooting for them to lose.
Yeah, I don't like that either. But look, if they just keep winning and controlling, they just got to keep winning. If they just keep winning hockey games, they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, probably. I mean, like I said, 2 out of 3 games for the rest of the season. Plus, you spot in like 2-3 overtime losses.
Yeah,
they should make it.
Yeah. My biggest, they gotta be.
Or they could just go on a 14-game heater.
They could go on a 14-game heater.
I mean,
You know what's funny? Like all year,
what
we've
they
been
did.
waiting for them to go on this like crazy hot stretch, and they haven't yet. They haven't. Like we've been talking about this since they started to play better in January. We kept talking about how they gotta win like
They
5
got to
in a
win
row.
like 4. We were
Yeah,
saying like 7 or 8. And
yeah,
like they
7
came
or
out
8
and won
too.
3.
But now with 14 games left, like you gotta win 5. We keep talking about it. They haven't done it.
They can get some momentum here. They could beat the Flames. They could beat the Maple Leafs. They could beat the Canucks. And then you have the games. I mean, then you play the Kings, are pretty tough. But then after the Kings game, then you got the Sharks. Then you got the
Ducks.
the Ducks, and then you got the Wild, who aren't playing well. You just beat them, and they have injuries. So realistically, I think they could. At the most, I think they lose 2 of those games. Or
I think they'll lose to the Kings in Toronto.
Yeah, maybe they drop those 2 games. The other games, like Wild, Canucks, Flames, Sharks, and Ducks. So that's 7 games. They should win 5 out of 7.
Yeah. Get you to 82 with 7 games left. About because it'd be 7. So if you have 82 out of that stretch, and then you got Jersey, Tampa, Philly, Islanders, Carolina, Florida, Tampa.
The Florida teams concern me. The other games don't. I mean,
you should beat Philly. You should beat the Islanders.
Yeah.
Devils might be tough, but you could probably beat Carolina.
The Devils really don't. I mean, it's at the Prudential Center, but whatever. Like, and Carolina doesn't. I like the Rangers played Carolina twice this year, and they could have beaten them both times.
Yeah.
I think there was only one game they played them that they couldn't have won. I think there was the game where they blew the game. That was another third period blown game where Berard scored. I think they had like a 2-1 lead.
Mm-hmm.
Then they had the game where it was tied, and then they gave up that backbreaking goal at the end of like one of the periods. And at the same time, that was also the game where Trocheck had like a breakaway to like tie the game. And remember on the penalty kill, and he sent it back. I don't remember the other game they played, the Hurricanes, but I think it was like a 2-1 loss. I think it was a close game. Or it could have been a blowout.
They got shut out one of the games, I thought.
Or maybe it was that game. That might have been one of the games I didn't watch because I had like a hockey game.
Yeah, I think the game 3-1, they did lose one game. And I think they got shut out.
They played like an early afternoon game against them, and I think that was the game they didn't play well in.
Yeah.
But the one that there was the one game that they should have won. Then the one game where like they gave up that bad goal at the end of one of the periods.
It wasn't one of them just before Christmas, I think it was.
It might have been.
Because I think they played the Devils the next day and got smoked.
Yeah.
It was the back-to-back day games.
It was an early Sunday game. That Devils game. Wait, it was an early Sunday game, and the Devils game was like a Monday afternoon.
Yeah, it was that next day. It was that 1:00 Monday game. I went. I was at that game. That was Prudential. Yeah.
But like I said, they match up well against the Hurricanes. I
remember Quick started the Devils game.
I'm more concerned about those Florida games, like
Tampa, Tampa. Not ideal. Philly Islanders, especially that point. I mean,
you got those are games that you have.
Those are must wins. Those are can't loses.
Unexcusable losses if you lose to those teams in the playoff race. But I mean, let's be honest. Even though the Islanders are technically still in it, I mean, you sold off what's his face, Nelson. So they're out of it. You got to beat them. Flyers are way out of it. You got to beat them. So
yeah, Flyers stink.
But for the most part, I think they're playing relatively well after that crappy game against the not the Hurricanes, the Blue Jackets 2 weeks ago, or 2 Sundays ago. This is a big stretch for them. I mean, you got, like I said, you had the 4 Canadian game stretch at home coming up. Obviously, not a great start. You lose that first game coming back to the Garden, but you got the 3 games where they're all winnable. Like even the Maple Leafs games. I know we're kind of saying that might be a game out of that 7-game stretch where you probably lose, but at the same time, you beat them earlier in the season. They played a good game against them last time. I think they should have won that game. You know, Igor. I think the goal that won them the game was Igor came out of the net and like shot it into somebody, and then like Marner scored, and they lost 2-1 or whatever. So.
Yeah, no, I mean they should beat the Flames. Take care of business against Vancouver. JT Miller revenge game.
Yeah, JT Miller revenge game. He's putting up maybe a hat trick.
Yeah. And then see what happens against the Kings. Sam Rosen Day, you got to win. JT Miller, I should have had the goal pick right. JT Miller hit the crossbar. or post. Ridiculous. Should have had it.
In the power play, that like one timer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should have had it. It's all right. You make my picks, you miss them.
You got one up on me right now. I blew that lead earlier in the year, but I'm still only behind one. I think what do I have next? Let's see. I got it up here. All right, we got Panarin versus Zvyachev. I like the favor. I like that in my favor. Panarin's on a little bit heater. I think he had an assist right on the Cooley goal.
Mm-hmm.
So he's on a little bit of a heater. I think he might bury one or two. He might bury one or two. So they'll lock that one in. Cooley against his hometown team against Toronto. He's playing pretty well too now that he's with Panarin and Trocheck. So
yeah,
I like those
turning
picks,
it on.
Man. Let's be honest. I mean, I don't see Zibanejad scoring next game, and I don't see Trocheck scoring against the Maple Leafs. So I think I'm gonna get a good comeback here. And after this 3-game set for a goal pick, I'll be back up by one. Pretty confident.
Yeah, Panarin's 9-game point streak. Panarin March, 13 points this month.
Yeah, he's been playing well. So, and he had a little bit of a goal streak there too. I think up until
he had like 5 straight.
Did he score against Minnesota or no? I don't think he did. But
I don't
before
think
that,
so.
he had
I think he had an
assist on the overtime goal. I know that.
Yeah, and then he scored in the second Columbus game.
Yeah, I think he had 2 points in that game. He had an assist maybe on Trocheck's goal.
Yeah, I think Trocheck and Cooley. Yeah, the new line. But Panarin's, you know what he is? He's getting ready for the postseason.
Playoff Panarin.
Playoff Panarin.
He's turning up at the right time. Last couple of seasons, we had Igor turning up towards the end of the season, so we're still waiting for that. I mean, I know he had the shutout, but I mean, we need Igor these next 3 games because he's probably going to play a lot now. They finally showed the confidence in him to play the back-to-back. I mean, Quick's been good this year. We resigned him, obviously, but I think it's, this is where Igor is going to make that $11.5 million. He's got to come up and he's got to play well. And he's not only got to keep you in games, but he's got to close out games. You know what I mean? Because we've said this before, that they've blown games. He's got to come up and when you need that save, holding onto that 1-goal lead at the end of games, he needs to make those saves. So, I mean, it's nice for him to make, saves earlier in the game, but at the same time, you need to make those big time saves where you're up, 1 goal with 5 minutes left, where the goal is pulled, defending off 6-on-5. He's got to be big. He's got to be big. So we'll see. But it's a big stretch for him, especially.
Yeah. Yeah, he's...
Wait, listen. And Lafreniere woke up. What was that? First goal since when? 1 million games?
Yeah.
When's the last time he scored? I don't even know.
I don't know. Let me check.
It was a while. It had to have been 20 games.
Vegas. It was the Vegas game. Jeez. Second JT Miller game was the last time he scored. Oh my God. Jesus. January 2nd or February 2nd. Oh my God.
Month. It was a month and 2 weeks. Yeah. Month and a half. Jeez. And then he had a drought before that, I think, too. A couple weeks before that.
Yeah, he's had a drought ever since the contract. It's 2 droughts.
They said some stat, or my dad said it, where it was he's had 5 or 6 10-game goal droughts in his career. Or maybe it was 8. He said 8 10-goal or 10-game goal droughts, which is shocking.
I could see it.
Shocking. I don't know. He doesn't play the power play, which you could say that, but even when he has
consistent ever since the
when he has played the power play, he hasn't looked great on that either. But you're right, he hasn't been good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then like you're about to say before I cut you off, the contract has been pretty bad.
Yeah. I still think they'll make the playoffs. I've had that feeling for a while, even through the really bad. I still think they're gonna get in.
My thing is my brain says no, but my heart says yes. You know what I mean? I think they will, just because the Rangers, right? They've been good the last couple of years.
Yeah, they make the playoffs pretty much every year.
But then there's also we've seen what they've looked like this year. We've seen them give up on games. We've seen the locker room kind of, for the most part, I think it's trending in a better direction. But for the early in that season and during that shit run, they were up in flames. But I think they're gonna need more contributors. Brzezinski, I think, has been solid as a contributor coming from the fourth line, but ever since Carrick has like been paired up with like that line with Kreider and whoever they were putting in, whether it was like Berard or Kaliev or Parsonen, who hasn't played in a little bit, but he's looked not as good. I'd say that when he was playing with like Rempe and Edstrom or like Edstrom and VC.
Yeah.
So I mean, to be fair to him, he's not a third line center though. So he's a fourth line center, but they have him playing third line.
But they've missed the playoffs. Last time was what, second year with Quinn? Or yeah.
Well, I still consider
technically the qualifying round. That was stupid.
Well, you know what? They missed the playoffs after that though, in like the 2020 season, where the season
the 56 game season was the last
just
time.
played in the year 2020, but the 1920 season no 21, the 21 season.
Yeah, the 56 games they missed it.
But then I don't consider 1920. They didn't make it in 18-19, and they didn't make it in 17-18. So they had like 4 years right there where they didn't make it.
They had that stretch with the letter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they'll make it. You know what? They're gonna make it because this is what they do. They're gonna make it. We're all gonna be excited, and they're gonna lose in like 5.
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna sweep. You're right. I think they'll lose in 5, just because it's the Rangers.
Igor will steal a game,
and they'll win one of the early games too.
Yeah, they'll win like game 1 or 2. Like they'll split in DC, and then we'll all be excited coming back, and
get your hopes
and then
up.
it will all collapse. But hey, maybe this year's different. All they needed was a little adversity.
Yeah, listen, we got Johnny Brazinski and Sam Carrick in their third and fourth line center roles. Those are cup winning players right there.
Those are. You know, Johnny Brazinski plays hard. Like he
gives effort. I give him a lot, but I mean, like again, like not trying to be a hater, but like he's not really. I mean, he can maybe be a fourth line player on a cup winning team, but he's not a third line player. He is playing the fourth line right now, but that means that you have Carrick playing the third line. He's not a third line player.
Yeah.
He's good for what his role is as a fourth line player, kills penalties, but I mean, as you've noticed, as all of us have noticed, like ever since that's been constructed with him and Kreider, and like I said, they played with like Kaliev one game. They've been playing with Berard. I assume I think Parsons going to play next game just because he hasn't played in a little bit. So you're going to fit in all those guys. That line hasn't done anything. And at least the fourth line, they've been good. They've been forechecking hard.
Rempe. I like what I've seen from Rempe.
Yeah, like for his littlest playing time is Rempe, Hoffman, and Brazinski. They've been doing a good job. I know they haven't scored. I know Hoffman hasn't scored yet, either an assist or a goal, but I think they are playing well for what they're being asked to do, where the third line hasn't really done much.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Well, it'll be interesting. See what happens. Flames tomorrow. Canada continues. Canada coming through the Garden. Then Toronto, then Vancouver, and out west. Any other thoughts?
I guess game by game we'll take it, but again, like I said, we're gonna have to be watching not just the Rangers, which again could give you more entertainment, more stuff to watch, but at the same time, it's like, I
enjoyed last year and 2 years ago when you're locked up and you don't have to worry about anything.
The last 3 years they were locked up. Like they had a little bit of a rough patch in 22, 23, but at this point now it's just a matter of who's going to play the first game home. Is it going to be at Prudential or is it going to be at MSG?
Yeah, pretty much.
We'll see.
Only time will tell. So that'll do it. We will see you all next week. Let's go Rangers. They'll still be in a playoff spot this time next week. I'm confident. Just keep winning games, and LGR.